Good morning, everybody. It's Kristina Dennis, the Transformational Self-Empowerment Master, and I'm coming to you a day later than I expected. I came down with a sickness this weekend, and I did take care of myself. I didn't work. I didn't exert myself. I didn't exercise. And let me tell you what that did to my mind and also to my emotions. First of all, I'm nervous, and I haven't really felt that coming in here very often to talk about things with everybody. And so that shows me, the vulnerability that I'm sharing and how it feels to come from a place of just being and not doing. And also just acknowledging that I am sensitive and that this is how I feel, and I don't. These are the emotions that come up when I don't feel well. I wasn't taken care of as a child in any kind of traditional sense, and in fact, one of the few compliments that I ever got from my grandmother was that I didn't need a lot of attention when I was sick. And I remember she was talking to my grandfather, who was away, and at this time I thought, of course, that she was my mom, and I remember putting that in my head, like, okay. That's the appropriate way to be. When you are sick, be quiet, take care of yourself, and don't ask for a lot of help, and you will be acknowledged as, easy. And that's definitely what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an easy child, and I didn't want to cause any problems or waves, because just my mere presence seemed to cause so much destruction. So I spent the weekend in bed, and I rested, and I got into binge mode on certain television shows, and really enjoyed my downtime. But I also got on social media, and I had a lot of kind of messages being sent to me, or posts and things like that I was paying attention to, and I was really surprised at my reaction to some of it, and also really kind of in a place of I don't really want to know about what people are saying. I mean, there were a couple of comments. Like, one comment was a mother and son conversation, and he said something nasty about a political female figure, and the mom thought it was cute enough to respond, put it back out on social media. And maybe he didn't say it, maybe he did, but I just was really sad about that. Like, wow, we women are not caring about each other. And then I did happen to listen to a couple gentlemen this weekend that were representing a company I care a lot about, and they were telling some pretty low-hanging fruit, women jokes about girl luggage, and at least I don't have girl luggage. And I thought, wow, it's so insidious. And the other thing that happens in April is it's Autism Month, Autism Awareness Month, and there was a campaign going around from a group that has garnished a lot of the fundraising for autism awareness, and it was kind of just a silly campaign about posting something ridiculous on your Facebook so people would reach out to you, and then you could say something about it being Autism Awareness Month. And that just kind of put me in kind of a bad place too. Like, wow, we're still really not aware of it. I think we are, right? It's 1 in 50 children. So I got up today, and I'm not feeling amazing, but I did get up and I did do my workout and I did do my prayer, and I am pushing through this video because I want to make sure I get back into my life and share my truth. And I know last week I said I was going to discuss relationships, but it's like, I'm going to interrupt this programming for a special message. And the message was about emotions. And because I had a lot of emotions around things that were going on, I was this weekend, vulnerable, not feeling well, paying attention to people I don't normally pay attention to, being sensitive, being afraid for being judged for being sensitive, and all the stuff that doesn't help me at all own any part of my life or show up doing exactly what I'm supposed to do on this earth, which is be me and be kind and compassionate toward others, and bring hopefully some kind of story of hope about resilience and how we can get through all of this, and how powerful we are. And telling our truth is the most powerful thing we could do. And so I was listening to a discussion about using emotions to make yourself more powerful. And it was two authors, and they said something beautiful. Okay, so have you ever heard this? You know the word author and authority, they come from the same. And so being an author of your own story gives you authority. And I loved that connection. I thought, yes, if I own my own story and I create my own story, then I have authority. And somebody who didn't feel like she had any power for a long time, that feels pretty good. And I love those little tips that help me, snap back into that I am in charge of what I think and how I want to behave and react in this world. But their discussion was about using emotions, and it tied into another conversation that I saw where it was Brene Brown's work around, I believe, was the one after Daring Greatly, which I can't remember right now, but where she talked about, studying, 100,000 people, and the average emotion that people could identify was 3, if you can believe that, 3 emotions: happy, sad, and pissed off. And I thought, yeah, that makes sense. I remember having that compartmentalization. And so I loved the first conversation I listened to because it talks a lot about what I'm always sharing about, is taking that agency over your feelings and writing and noticing and not judging and saying, okay, I wonder why I feel that way. I wonder what is going on. I wonder, becoming curious, as Brene Brown's. And then I loved the second part, saying, wow, we still have so much work to do. And I think this applies to both men and women. The first conversation was discussing, why do women want to behave like men at work, or why do we feel that we can't show our entire spectrum of emotions? And it was within normal ranges. So, if your mind goes automatically like, we can't cry at work, or you have that kind of built-in belief system that it's not okay to be vulnerable or womanly or over-emotional, which is something I think it gets described about me. I remember I had one boss that called me. He said, you have too much counseling. What does that mean? He said, you're too direct. You have too much counseling. Chrissy, you have too much counseling. Not everybody's had as much counseling as you. It was such a shaming kind of statement on any front. And, the older I get, the more I realize the things that people say to keep us in our little boxes. So these ladies were discussing how powerful it is to own your emotions and not be afraid of them. And they brought up something that I thought was really true. And it said, the act of crying, of course, there's a physical release. And so it is something that feeds our health. But they said, the more you make it okay to cry, the less you need to cry. And I thought that's totally true. Because when I first got into recovery and on this, with people that were going to support me and love me, and it was safe for me to let my guard down, I cried for a lot. I cried a lot. At the same time, I know people in my workspace that would have said, she is tough as nails. And I am. So how do I give myself agency and permission to be exactly who I want to be and all the emotions? And I think if you think about mature emotions and how appropriate they are, we're not talking about having a little fit. We're not talking about being a brat. We're talking about true emotions. If things touch us, if things send us to a place of emotion, we need to take that clue, that warning, or that insight and explore it further. It'll make us better employees. It'll make us better entrepreneurs. It'll make us better people. So I wanted to just discuss that a little bit and say, if you are in a place where you have been called over emotional or sensitive, or you have had comments said to you that didn't feel right, and you told yourself that you were being sensitive and emotional, and you're worried, to, 1, forgive yourself if you did that, and 2, to take agency. Take agency. You don't have to come out swinging, but take the time to write it down and figure out exactly how that feels. And do some work around emotions. Can you come up with more than 3 that you're willing to feel on a daily basis? And my emotion today is a little nervousness, feeling a little less than, being a little self-conscious, worried that people are not going to accept me, worried that I'm not going to be okay because I had 3 days where I didn't feel very good and I wasn't up, doing exactly what I need to do to keep my headspace going or my business improving. All of this is part of the human experience, and it's important for us to share it with each other. And it's important to tell your story and become the authority in your life. And so I hope that you get some insight from that and you take that out and you are willing to share who you are with somebody else, because that's your true gift. And hi, Stephanie. Love you. Bye.